Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back once again to our English Flash News edition. I'm Daniel Cook, your host at 6 p.m. 6 days a week for the translated version of the Albanian news. In today's news, once they concluded their meetings in Tirana, the two representatives of the European Parliament have issued a statement once again, appealing to the opposition to return to the Parliament. They also requested that the parties engage in political dialogue, which is necessary for EU integration. The two men appealed to both the majority and the opposition to confirm their agreement through a joint resolution. On Mr. Kukan's official website, he made the following statement. We have reassured our political partners in Albania of the continuous support that we offer to their European integration process. During the last days, we have demonstrated this support by our willingness to engage in renewing the political dialogue between the ruling majority and the opposition, and by encouraging the opposition to put an end to their boycott of the Parliament. His statement continues. Albania needs sustainable and constructive political dialogue between the ruling majority and the opposition in order to fulfill the European ambitions of its citizens. It is a shared responsibility of both sides to create the conditions for this and to ensure that such cross-party dialogue is taking place in the Parliament. We appreciate the fact that all of our political partners were able to agree on our proposal concerning the principles of cooperation in the Parliament. The proposal implied a return to efficient and inclusive work of the Parliament, respect and implementation of the decisions of the Constitutional Court, and commitments to addressing the issue of people with criminal records running for public office. Now we encourage the political leaders in Albania to continue and to step up their efforts to finalize a sustainable solution for efficient work in the Parliament. We encourage them to confirm their agreement in the form of a joint parliamentary resolution. Albanian politicians need to take responsibility for the effective functioning of the democratic institutions of the country. Therefore, we call on the opposition once again to resume their work in the Parliament and carry on with their parliamentary duties. We call on the ruling majority to maintain the conditions for inclusive political dialogue within this institution. Kukan and Fleckenstein both gave assurance for further support to restore cross-party political dialogue and cooperation, which is essential for the EU integration process and the credibility of Albania in the EU. Edward Kukan published the 4 points of the draft on his personal website as follows. First, the opposition will return to the Parliament and fully resume their parliamentary work, refraining from boycotting the Parliament and its committees. The ruling majority will not use its 3-5 majority to bypass the opposition, but will seek consensus on important reforms whenever possible. Secondly, all parties will contribute to political dialogue, which will take place primarily in the Parliament. They will respect the Constitution and systematically follow the decisions of the Constitutional Court. The ruling majority and the opposition will engage in reviewing the rules concerning the efficient functioning of the parliamentary inquiry committees, based on the best international practices. Third, the opposition and the ruling majority must commit to working together in a consensual way, with help from the EU on the issue of individuals with criminal records holding or seeking a public office. This is based on European standards and the Venice Commission. Fourth, the representatives of the major political groups in the European Parliament will support this political agreement. Now it is expected that all political forces will vote on the resolution, which is intended to end the opposition boycott and restore normality to the Assembly. The majority and the opposition have both responded very positively to the resolution that was put forth by the European Parliament. The Democratic Party was the first to react after the resolution was publicized. They expressed that they were in support of the document prepared by Fleckenstein and Kukan, and they expressed readiness to immediately begin working on the joint parliamentary resolution. The Democratic Party thanked the European Parliament members for their commitment to solving the political crisis. They also welcomed the European Parliament's further commitment. However, the Democrats did not mention any plans to cease their boycott. Because of this, the Socialists have called the opposition to vote on it in tomorrow's plenary session. Representatives of both parties held a meeting today to discuss the points of the resolution which are expected to be voted on during tomorrow's plenary session. The plenary session of December 24th will close the parliamentary session for this year, and the new legislature will begin work in the third week of January. Therefore, the next hours are crucial for the Democratic Parliamentary Group, which has not made a final decision regarding their relationship with the Parliament. Two of the candidates for the Bank of Albania Supervisory Council were heard by the Economic Commission this afternoon. The Economic Commission held a hearing for Gent Seko, the candidate that the President proposed for the bank governorship. Mr. Seko was also put forward by the Supervisory Council as a candidate for membership. Gent Seko presented himself before the majority MPs, not for the post of governor right away, but to be considered for membership in the Supervisory Council. Even though Seko was put forward for membership by the Supervisory Board, he criticized their work in the case of the heist. He also criticized them for failure to control their costs. The Commission also held a hearing for Natasha Ahmetai, the candidate proposed by the MPs of the majority. She emphasized the care that must be taken in the financial aspect. There were also discussions about the political commitments of the members of the Council. The oil refineries in Balch have been blamed for a number of different diseases that have been discovered among the residents of the area. The inhabitants of the area reportedly contracted these diseases because of the toxic gases emitted by the refinery. Mrs. Skenderai is a member of one of the poorest families in the village of Lavdan. She is the mother of 3 children, has a paralyzed son, and nobody in her family is employed. As if poverty were not enough, she has a problem with her lungs because of the pollution, and she is seeking help. The number of people who have tested positive for high carbon levels in the blood are increasing at alarming levels. A doctor of the hospital of Fier, Lulzim Banushi, said that the consequences of too much carbon in the blood are irreversible. This situation exists because the company is not taking any action to protect its employees or the residents living near them, who will be affected by their pollution just as much. Prime Minister Edi Rama has given warning that appointments based upon political alignment will no longer be tolerated in the public administration. The head of the government said that appointment will be established solely based upon merit. In a meeting with the employees of the public administration that were hired through competition, Prime Minister Edi Rama warned that the era of political appointments is over. A job, he said, will be gained only through merit. The law on public administration will be changed yet again. Prime Minister Edi Rama said that soon the government will submit an initiative to the Parliament, under which the administration employees will be forced to take responsibility and be punished if they do not properly serve the citizens. The role of the public administration is even more important now that Albania is preparing for the opening of negotiations for EU membership. The Prime Minister insisted on the need for a professional administration. He announced that their training is going to be significantly increased. A warning from the Minister of Agriculture has stated that merchants will be punished if they abuse their prices for the holidays. In addition, Edmond Panariti said that specific markets will be opened in the city centers, and they will be an alternative choice if the prices increase. After meeting with a number of traders, the Minister of Agriculture guaranteed the citizens that there will not be abusive prices for the holidays. The minister warned the traders that they will face penalties if they raise their prices unfairly. He also announced an option that the citizens will have should they encounter inflated holiday prices. Minister Panariti announced the opening of several wholesale markets in the city centers, where products will be sold at low prices. For the last several years in Albania, on the eve of the holiday season, there has been a significant increase in prices. People who need to do last-minute shopping have had to pay these prices unfairly. That is all the news for this evening, folks. Thank you for joining us. Please be with us again tomorrow at the same time for more translated Albanian news in English. Thank you and good night.